The final one, the other was from Aaron Stewart, and he said executive and senior leadership alignment, sort of back, Greg, to the answer you put in place. And I wanted to use that as a pivot point into our first question. What is the strategic role of the roadmap? And we've talked already about this alignment type stuff. And then towards the end of the first question, we were talking about product management in some places assuming the role of leadership, the strategy leadership. You know, I'm going to start with you on this one, Greg. What do you think is the strategic role of the roadmap? I don't remember ever putting a roadmap in my 3-year plan. I remember putting roadmaps in my annual operating plan, like that I was asking for money.
I think the only thing that you would do in a 3-year plan is the big things that you're going to do as far as like markets or customers or things like that. That's
market product strategy, not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, in the second quarter of, 2021, we're going to be fully cloud. I mean, come on, really? I mean, that's, I don't think so. But, you put in something like we're going to have much more flexibility. We're going to be able to go after new markets, and we're going to be able to be much more cost effective. Those things make more sense at a top level roadmap. In those are the big strategic things that you're trying to accomplish over those longer terms that set directions for everyone.
So the roadmap is almost a byproduct of the strategic.
Yeah. And I would counter to all of this is that innovation is never on a roadmap. So.
No, it's not.
Right.
Jason, strategic value of roadmap.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I was once asked by my executives just to create like a sexy roadmap. So, they wanted items that were, like you said, it was kind of more thematic, kind of game changers, but only things that maybe the executive team can understand. They can't understand the kind of the smaller, I guess, incremental items that still provide value. They wanted to be able to provide something to their board or the owners of the organization, those kind of things. And so I was able to get them aligned on those as far as placing them in the quadrant of what to do first and those kind of things. And then once I got buy off on those kind of higher level themes, kind of like what you were mentioning, Greg, as well. Then from there I can actually align my more tactical roadmap to those components.
Yeah.
So it is a way of kind of leading up, but you still get the executive team on board for doing prioritization, if you will, impact over effort, if you will, something like that, and then go from there. So just kind of a high level down to like a waterfall approach.
No, it makes sense. Have you found that at companies you've been at, product is playing more of a strategic role than you would have expected, or are they more reactive to leadership?
I think neither. So, I think that a lot of these organizations, they just want to be the best. They're not sure on how to do that and don't talk too much about how to do that. And so the product, they depend on product to create wonderful features that's going to incrementally get them to be the best. But none of that is based on any kind of higher level strategy into, let's say, a new market, a new program or anything like that. So they do depend on product managers to get there by creating great products that the customers in the market wants to buy. But it's not from a direction and from the executives usually then just go ahead and find something that will sell.
Okay. See, for me, I come from a GE background when it comes to strategic planning. We had session 1, which was 3 years, session 2, which was 18 months, and the operating plan, which was 12 months. And for me, I look at there's a couple lenses we're looking for strategically, right? One is the corporate strategy, the corporate lens. Who are we? What do we do? What are our core competences and differentiation? And what are the guide rails of where we want to play, right? Where to play and how to win fit in there. There's also a market and product lens. How do we pick the right markets and product categories to be in? And then there is a opportunity lens. And if you put those 3 overlapping, right? Corporate overlaps with market and product, which overlaps with go-to-market. You get 4 distinct things. You've got the corporate strategy, you've got a portfolio strategy if you're big enough to have something separate, you've got a product and market strategy, and you've got to go to market strategy. For me, you need to have the strategic vision from the corporate strategy and the portfolio strategy, if you're big enough to have one, to give you guidance to figure out how do you prioritize your product and market roadmap. And when we talk about product roadmaps, that sort of is in that sort of product market strategy realm. And then that in turn guides the go-to-market strategy. So that being said, I've seen in, Melissa Perry in her recent blog just wrote about the increasing role product leaders are playing in strategy. And how do we do that? And, I look at, when I say strategy, I mean market and product strategy. How do we understand the markets, understand the opportunity to decide which solution, where do we want to focus our efforts? That's where a roadmap happens. And if nobody else is doing that, then product has to play that role. And it is in the roadmap becomes a strategic tool. My 2 cents. Do you have a thought, Greg?
Yeah, well, in the lack of anything, nature abhors a vacuum. So
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about. So I have not seen product itself being very much into the overall strategic goals of many companies. I think that it more is like where is the business trying to get to? So that's why I talked about like the big things that they're trying to do over the 3 years. What are the top 4s? And as you said, what defines us? The mission statement, all that great fun stuff, which is spends months but doesn't really mean anything. But the goals of the company, the goal or the division or the business, and where they thinking about going in the 3-year time frames in big blocks, those tend to always get folded down into product to say, this is what we're thinking. Let's talk about how we're actually going to get there.
and they should be used objectively to rank and prioritize things for that roadmap.
I agree. Yes.
So I think it depends, as John would say. Depending on the company, you could see product taking a more strategic role, or product being reactive to, here's the guidance we're getting, and we're going to make sure we build this into how we build a roadmap.
Yep.